Hi everybody, happy Monday, welcome to Art Day. Today I want to paint and I chose the February challenge of the Lockery Artist Group to paint and well, this is the chameleon that it's going to be. So the prompt was to paint something that you would find in a tree. Chameleon, I thought, would be a great idea, and I got this photo from Paint My Photo. Link is in the description box below. And I'm working on acrylic paper, so it has the texture of canvas. And I'm gonna start with very quickly just sketching out the shape. You will probably not be able to see a lot. I will check if I can manage to make things visible in post-editing, but today I just felt like painting for one, and second, where's that leg? Ah, there it is. And second, I thought I might show you how I work with acrylics when I'm not working in one of my books. So there's a difference there when I work on pieces of art that are not in a book, where I don't close anything, you know. So I'm just very roughly gonna sketch out the shape of the chameleon. And I don't really care about erasing lines because, well, the acrylic color will cover everything up. Also, this is super light. And I've been playing with the idea of having only the chameleon and the foreground be painted with acrylics and the rest be done with maybe Inktense. So I don't care very much if I cannot erase the lines, because I will very likely cover everything up, excuse me, with acrylic paint. So there's a little bit of a twig there, and the second leg. So yeah, I thought I just paint today. Felt like doing good old artwork. So going here, and now I just need to add the head. I got the foot. Okay, need the face, nose, and now going on to the head. And again, this reference photo comes from Paint My Photo. I really like the website to use, using it to look up reference photos of pretty much anything I need. Alright, there's a snake in there. Huh. Okay. I think this is a photo from a home place. Like, oh god, one of these boxes. It's not an aquarium, but it's the aquarium without water. But what I want to do is add the legs here. Can hardly see them on the photo, but I guess that is perfect because chameleons are supposed to be invisible. in the trees. So there's a bit of a tree trunk or a twig or something down here, which I'm just gonna freehand now because that is actually not on the photo. And you cannot see the other leg. Okay, so I'm just gonna leave it like that, which is just the outlines. I'm gonna work on the colors when I do the acrylic paint. Now here's the thing. What is different when I work with acrylic colors or acrylic paint if I'm not working in my art journal? Well, I'm using, or in one of my magazine journals or in the coloring books, I'm using a different brand of water. Why do I always say watercolors? Probably because I have the watercolors from that company as well. So I'm using a different kind of a company and use artist grade acrylic paint and a very limited palette of colors because I like to mix my own colors. I do have a warm red and a cold red of the Schmincke acrylic academic, whatever kind of color. So it's a primary magenta and a cadmium red. Then I do have a cold yellow, a lemon yellow, to be exact, and a cat yellow, which is a warm yellow. Then I do have an ultramarine blue, which is a cold blue, and I have a Prussian blue, which is a warm blue. You can see where I'm going here, right? I do have the sienna burnt and the umber burnt, cold, warm tone. I do have the Van Dyke brown, which sits in the middle, and I love to shade with Van Dyke brown. Would I not love this color, I would have been fine with just the other browns. Another necessary color for me is yellow ochre. So I got that. I got a turquoise, which is a greenish blue. And I got a lamp black, a mixing white, which is buff titanium light, and a titanium white. This is all the colors that I got, and I don't need the greens, the purples, and whatever, because I can mix them, and therefore have very harmonic feel to my paintings, because it's always the same colors that I use for mixing, so I always have repetition in my paintings. Now in the painting today, I'm going for green, brown, yellow. So I can discard the reds. I just wanted to show you that I would only work with these two, but I'm not gonna today. So I can discard those already. I'm not gonna use them, but I'm gonna show you how I like to mix my colors. For that, unfortunately, I have to zoom you out a bit. So you cannot really see as detailed, but you can see my palette and the paper here. And close-up photos of this painting will be on my blog anyways. So the first thing looking at this picture, what I wanted would be a light green, almost minty green, and a warm yellow. So for the warm yellow, I would mix the cat yellow and the light ochre. So I'm going to put these two onto my palette, and there's reason to how I put things down. That's probably already enough of the light ochre, and of course I have to paint myself first, because why not? I would take the Van Dyke brown. Or do I want to take the umber for a change? Yeah, let's take the umber. I would go for the burnt umber for the brown tones. I would put a tiny little bit of, since this is the cold brown, I would put a tiny little bit of the, oh, let's use the turquoise, no, it's a bit grayish there, so let's put the Prussian blue, because these two tones together make for a nice gray. Just a little bit, goes a long way. I definitely will need the titanium white, but just at the end. And now I go for the green. So I need a lot of the, oh, what's it called? Minty green. Oh gosh, talking. So I need quite a lot of that, but I also need a bit of the, almost like an olivey brown. So I'm going to use turquoise. Maybe a bit more, because I need quite a bit of different kinds of green. Turquoise with the cat yellow and a tiny bit of the lemon yellow. I also got the light ochre working. So I just need to put things where I remember them. I probably won't use the black and the ultramarine blue, but I haven't used the Van Dyke yet. But I'm gonna need quite a bit of mixing white. Now the difference between mixing white and a titanium white is that the mixing white lightens up the color, but doesn't make it look milky like titanium white does. So I'm going to use titanium white for the highlights, but for any mixing to lighten up things, I'm going to use the mixing white. Now I need a brush, since this animal isn't too big. I could actually work with a small brush. Which one do I want? Do I want soft one? Or don't I? My standard big brush is quite the, well, I would actually use this one, but this is way too big for this particular piece, so I need another brush. You're soft. I'm gonna take you. I'm gonna choose you, Pikachu. Of course, I mean brush. So this is a hawk hair. It's a rather cheap, low quality brush, but it's quite soft. And I need a paper towel. And I need a new roll of paper towels. And then I can paint. Excuse me. So the cool thing with acrylics is that you can mix your colors and that you can layer them. So I'm going to use that to my advantage, and I'm going to start with the yellows, and I'm going to mix yellow ochre with cat yellow just to tone it down a bit. And cat yellow is also quite transparent, so by mixing it with yellow ochre, I'm gonna have it pretty opaque right away. So I'm going to put in the where is this hair going? There. I'm going to put in the stripes, the yellow stripes that the chameleon has. And if I'm not gonna be at the exact same spot as it is in the photo, I don't care, because, well, it's my chameleon. The photo is just a reference photo, and I'm only going so far trying to achieve realism there. So there's another of the yellow stripes. See, it's way lighter because I used less of the yellow ochre. And I'm going to add some more lines here. Yeah, that's where the yellows are. Now I have to fill the rest with the greens. For that, I'm going to mix. I'm going in with a dirty yellow brush and I'm picking up some of the turquoise, tiny bit of lemon yellow, just to make it a bit more interesting. An apple greeny, maybe a bit more. And now quite a bit of the mixing white. See, it goes very light green. Going to pick that up now and dot the sections in between. That gives the whole painting quite a bit of texture, and the chameleon actually has a lot of texture because it's actually peeling its skin, which I'm not gonna paint necessarily. I haven't decided on that yet, but for now I'm just happy to fill in the parts between the yellow stripes with that one underpainting tone. I'm gonna have a bit of light ochre or yellow ochre in between, also some brown tones and a bit of apple green, but that comes only in a minute. I'm not gonna work on the head for now, I'm just gonna go with the body, because the head actually has quite a bit of gray or brown in there. Alright, now I need a bit of the warm yellow and a bit of the turquoise to go for an apple green tone. And I'm gonna dot it on the lower part of the chameleon, which is kind of a natural shading going on, but also is going to reflect the surroundings of the chameleon. Alright, I'm going to clean my brush and pick up a bit more of the cat yellow and the ochre, but mainly cat yellow. Going to intensify that color. Also going with the dotting, which then makes the texture looking a bit more harmonic. A bit darker towards the bottom. I'm also going to dot that light ochre into the green parts a bit. And now I could actually change to a smaller brush and go for the legs and the head. So legs first, a bit more of the mixing white to revive the light green. Let's see. Leg is here again, partially dotting, just to keep the same texture. Now, the lower part of the face is actually also this light green. And then it moves into white and into gray. But first, a bit of the apple green, just to shade things a bit. And for the head itself, I need a tiny bit of yellow. Again, I'm just gonna pick it up with the same dirty brush. It will work there. So it's quite a bit of yellowish up here. And some things I could really just mix on the paper. I don't, especially for the first layers, I don't have to do a lot there. But now I have to work on the head, and there's quite a bit of this grayish brown. So I'm mixing a warm blue, in this case Prussian blue, with the cold brown, the burnt umber. I'm getting a grayish tone, and I could use that to paint in the part that I need. It's also a pretty nice shading color, I have to say. It's not as harsh as black, but it actually does the job. Okay, that is that. Also, this lovely chameleon has quite a few spots that have very dark brown, like lines. So what I'm gonna do is bring them in. The same brush, and then I'm going to bring in the titanium white for the white parts of the chameleon. So then I have pretty much everything base coated, and I can decide how much detail I want to add for this chameleon to in the end stand out. Okay, so I'm definitely gonna shade down here. Bit more of the brown, just making it less grayish, more of a brownish tone. Just pretty much outlining. Because around these yellow lines, there's actually very thin brownish, grayish lines. So I'm going to put them in here. And then I need a bit of mixing white to make a lighter grayish brown tone. Then I can put that part on top because it has quite a lot of white in there as well, but I don't want it to be pure white, otherwise it would look too comic-y. And I actually want this to be a mixed or a medium tone. Going to mix turquoise now with the burnt umber, which makes for a different gray tone, more of a greenish gray. I'm going to put in some mixing white as well, just to lighten things up. This is actually how I like to mix my colors. First go for the pure color and then lightening them up with mixing white if I need a lighter tone. But see, this is a very greenish gray here. That I can use for bit of shading or just outlined a few of the rougher parts of the chameleon. And it's a nice shading color. You don't always have to have, oh, that's a bit much. You don't always have to have black to shade something. There's hardly any black in nature. So I actually prefer not using black as much when it comes to paintings of nature. And with this almost dry brushing kind of technique here, I'm blurring the lines quite a bit between different elements or sections on the painting, which, well, it makes it easier if you're not going for photorealism, but just want to have an impression of something that you saw or that you taken a reference photo of. In this case, a chameleon. So I'm turning it way more grayish green here than it actually is in the photo now. But that does not mean that I'm not gonna change the tone on the next layer. So a bit more of the brown tone. Okay. So now I have to clean my brush, and then I want to lighten sections at those yellow stripes. For that I'm going to use a mixture of lemon yellow and cat yellow with a little bit of mixing white. It's a very light yellow that I get this way. It's perfect for highlights, so let's go for highlights. The upper sections are way lighter. And I'm not covering the whole thing, I'm just, well, adding a tiny bit of the light color. So that it almost either looks like a reflection, like a highlight, like the sun or whatever light bouncing off. And I'm going to reuse that color in a minute on the leaves surrounding the chameleon. But first, I have to paint the eye. Then I need a round brush. Round brush, come on. Give me a round brush. Where is it? Ah, there. I'm going for brown umber, umber burnt, Prussian blue, to make the dark gray tone again. I'm not gonna lighten that, but I'm just for now going to dump that color onto the eye section. Going to add highlights in a minute. Now, the wood. I'm going to take the burnt umber with a bit of the light ochre to mix my wooden color for the wood that the chameleon is sitting on, and I'm adding a tiny little bit of the Prussian blue. Just going to paint in the twigs that this tiny little fella is sitting on. Don't have to be exact, it's a wooden piece, it has its own gnarly bits, but you can see that it's semi-transparent. That is because of the burnt umber. So I have to go for 2 layers in this case, and now need this part here. Now for the second layer, a few highlights with a bit more of the yellow ochre than the burnt umber. I always forget that color. It's like, or the name of that color, I should say. It's like, my brain doesn't want to use it that often. Okay, that's that, and now I can fill in the green parts. Actually, just saw something. I think I have to add a few freestyle more twiggies. Just a few to have the composition of the painting work. More of the brown and the blue. All right, now I can paint in a few leaves that I'm going in with the turquoise and a lot of the lemon yellow. Tiny bit of the Prussian blue maybe. Yep, for the darker parts. Okay. Nice, nice, nice. Let's start with the light tone. So there's leaves here, for example. There's leaves underneath. Just filling in the first layer here, because they come from up here. That is why the chameleon is kind of bluish green, almost minty. And do I need another? Yeah, maybe here. Just another leafy part. Pretty much just the idea of a leaf. It's not really per se a real leaf, but I'm going to take a bit of Prussian blue now and shade a few parts of those leaves pretty heavily underneath the chameleon and also underneath the twiggy parts, so the wooden pieces. Going to let them feather out. It's maybe a bit too harsh. Feather it out a bit more. Come on. There we go. I'm a bit more careful with shading up here because that is actually the light part where there's more reflection. And I need a little bit of yellow. And I'm taking the cat yellow because I don't have lemon yellow on my palette anymore. And I take it with a dirty brush and I could make a few very light green parts here. Stems, for example, or very young leaves or something like this. It just is a nice contrast to the very dark greens, and I will very likely use the same very yellowish light green tone for the background. But for now I just have to add a tiny bit of the yellow onto the leg here, just where I see it could use a bit of a lighter green or yellow speckle. Okay. Could actually, could it? Yes, it could. A bit more of a yellow tone here, but also a greenish tone. So let's go cat yellow. And a bit of the mixing white, but for that I have to clean my brush completely. Mixing white. Just to sit next to the yellow. I actually have so much mixing white left that I'm going to use it instead of the titanium white. I'm just gonna fill in the white section of the head. Might add a tiny little bit of yellow ochre to that, very, very light. I'm going to repeat the same color on other parts of the chameleon, just to have a bit of color repetition there. So maybe, yep, maybe here is nice. Now I need a very thin brush. To work on the eye part. I'm going to take only the mixing white for that. Just going to color that. With the white, and then go in with the yellow ochre tone that I had just mixed before. Let's go on top. Like that, these transparent colors show up, but they're not too heavy to be looking like they're plastered on, you know? Okay. Let me see. Not too shabby. Now I'm going to dry this and excuse me, and then I'm going to paint the background and the details. Hold on. Need a bit of coffee, but I'm having quite the color still on my palette that I'm not going to use on anything else. So what I'm gonna do is, for one, clean off my desk a bit. These are the colors that I've used, because I have to remember that. Oh, I'm not having my blow dryer. Forgot to attach that. There we go. Quickly gonna dry this. And while this cools down, I'm going to zoom you out. It's not a lot. But I'm always having a canvas nearby when I'm working with acrylics and I don't or I have too much color on the palette, I just put it down, so like this, and then I try to see a picture at one point. Go like this. Excuse me. Oh, I'm feeling either I'm getting allergies or I'm getting sick. Shit. So let's move into the blue. Bit of turquoise. And now I'm going to dump the mixing white. And later on I'm going to turn the canvas and see, okay, am I seeing something, like for example, I see two eyes and nose and a goofy smile of some weird cartoon at the moment, but that doesn't mean that I'm not going to see anything else if I turn the canvas, you know. So that will be a thing for later. Just gonna put it down, and like that I'm not wasting acrylic paint. Okay, I'm going to let this on my palette dry and put away the canvas. Now what I want to do is something that is maybe not super usual, but I'm going to watercolor a bit, or actually Inktense a bit. But I'm going to zoom you in. And I'm going to use the Inktense blocks and look for a color that I would like to use, and I think I want to use something like these yellow greens and maybe a yellow tone. No, it might be a bit heavy, but definitely, let's see, the 1560, this one. Want to use that tone, and well, the 1700 is not bad. This one here. These two. Do I want some more? Yeah, actually, yeah. Let's go with this one as well. Gonna put them in here on my tray. Oops, sorry. Gonna get a big water brush and I'm just going to dump color. Let's see, space them out a bit, something like this. And now the funny thing is that on this paper the Inktense will actually look quite watercolory. It will stay, but it will not be as opaque as you might think, or as it might be on other paper. See? Just going to dump in that color. And I can go over the acrylics, I don't have to be super precise. At least not if I'm not going over the whites or the super light grays. I have to be a bit more careful there, of course, but for here, that's totally fine. I'm going to dump the same tone a bit here. And then move on to the rest of the colors. And I'm squeezing quite a bit of water here. Now the third color, a bit of the darker tones for here. Might not look like much, but I'm gonna take a paper towel to it in a minute, and that will actually do the difference. Clean off my brush. Now I need my water bottle. squeeze. Quite a bit of water there. Now I can make for interesting pattern. And lighten parts up, mix colors. See? Make the background a bit more harmonic and less loud than the chameleon is. Okay. Again, I'm going to dry this with my blow dryer. I'm going to let this dry or cool down once more. For a second here, and now I'm going to take a brush pen to it. That is not the right one. Yeah, just a waterproof ink black pen. And I'm going to add details. Very comic-y, sketchy ones here. That will help putting everything together. With those squiggly lines, you don't have to be exact, but still you show the viewer what they're supposed to see. Be brave when you do this kind of thing and just go with a rather bigger tip of a pen and just roll with it, just outline it, just sketchy lines. It really could make the difference if you're painting a rather loose painting or maybe not so super realistic kind of a painting. Just really like that that style. So I'm also gonna help a few of the outlines of the chameleon. Not gonna touch the top probably, or only with very tiny lines. I'm going on top of the eye with a gel pen in a second. Just going to make him look somewhere. I have to see. Do I? Yeah, maybe. Oh gosh. Now it's going to be difficult. Something like this, maybe. And now for the gel pen, which I forgot to bring to the table. Just gonna intensify the white lines here around the eye. And do a little dot here. And I think otherwise it doesn't need any super high highlight. So let me quickly track and zoom you out a little tiny bit. Yep, that would be it. So let's sign this little dude. And yeah, that's my painting. I hope you enjoyed watching along. Hope you are maybe not surprised that you can have a illustration-y kind of painting with acrylics in rather a very short time, and how you can make few colors and mixing all of them to your advantage, and well, have things work fast and well, and therefore maybe have a tiny little daily thing or a weekly thing where you paint something. The paper wants to curl a bit, but I can curl it back. So yeah, I hope you enjoyed, and maybe I just see, maybe I do some tiny little dots here on the feet. Come on, just a tiny little detail. Yep, that's not too shitty. I like that. So I hope you enjoyed and maybe got inspired to go through certain words that you have collected for ideas that you want to paint, and maybe go with this kind of mixed media painting style that is rather a loose style, a very quick style. Maybe you found something interesting there. If you have any questions or comments, please leave them in the comment section below. The close-up photos and the exact numbers of the Inktense blocks, and also the colors that I use for the acrylics, are on the blog post, so you can check that out. I'm gonna see you next Monday. I will very likely work on the Random Act of Kindness project for March. I think that's a nice way to start off the month there. And yeah, I'm gonna see you. Thanks again for watching. Have fun, everybody. Bye bye.